Hey everyone, this is Tracy Kawa with American SPCC and another episode of A Brighter Future Starts Here. Our guest today is Tom Condone. He's the Director of Sports and Member Development at U.S. Youth Soccer. Hi, Tom. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Tracy. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you are here to discuss with us changing lives through soccer and delivering opportunities for all kids, which is super cool. Before we start, I just want to tell the quick story of how you and I met. So, I was on a work convention without the kids, without my family, and I was just getting ready to kick back when I found myself surrounded by what seemed like hundreds of kids. And I said, "Oh, whoa, okay." So, as soon as that shock passed, I said to myself, "I've got to find the person in charge of organizing this. I have to find out what this is about." All of the kids were wearing sports gear. Uh, my quest led to you, and tell me what I saw. What was it?
Yeah, that particular event, albeit right around the Thanksgiving holidays, which made it even crazier, that was our Olympic Development Program event. It was called an interregional friendly, and that was kind of almost a 4-day event. It was 8 days total, 4 days for
Wow.
the girls, 4 days for the guys. I think 1,100 kids total in the 13 through the 17 age groups, and it was really the best kids within each of our 4 regions: the East, the West, the Midwest, and the South. So it was a really good time, chaotic at times, but it was good. The kids enjoyed it.
Look, it looked very well organized. So
Mhm.
kudos to you and your team. And you seem to have, or we seem to have a lot of top performers, right? If those were like the top from all the regions, there are a lot of top performers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. That particular event, uh, it was observing and evaluating players over that time frame,
Mhm.
and then we chose what we believe were the top players out of that Thanksgiving event, and
Wow.
they'll all be coming together later this month in Tampa, Florida, for our national training event. So it's almost a year cycle in terms of how we look at our high performance players around the nation, starting at the state level, moving all the way through national, and it's been a pleasure to work with them.
That is super cool. That's amazing. I love the way you have the layers and the structure of it and the regions and the top, the best, the competitive, and then the best of the best, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
so tell us, let's reel it back a little bit.
Mhm.
Tell us why sports are so important to kids.
Yeah, well, I know for me, I learned by playing, even
Mhm.
as an adult. So playing is a natural way to learn, uh, and when you think about that, it's really a powerful element of a child's development, and even adult development as well. It gives children the ability to discover freedom, that ability to be creative.
Mm.
Many children who play sports academically are better. There's numerous studies that show the more exercise children get, the more proficient their brain performance can become.
Nice.
Life values, that positivity of the ability to share and care, respect for not only yourself but for others, taking personal responsibility and accountability, working with other individuals, small groups, large groups, teamwork. So I think when we speak about sports, there's so much that can be learned within that environment. And then there's the physical health benefit. I think, Tracy, we talked about this when we first met. We have 1 out of every 3 children who are overweight or obese. We have
Yes.
fewer than half of the children. I think the age group is 6 to 11. U.S. Surgeon General basically saying that they're not getting the recommended moderate
Mhm.
physical activity, which is that 45-minute to 60-minute range per day. Uh, we learned by playing for sure when we were growing up, but now active time is being replaced by inactive screen time, i.e., games,
Games.
uh, at an average of 6+ hours per day. If you look at our school systems, recess, PE is either being cut or being eliminated altogether. So we certainly need to provide that environment after school to ensure kids are getting not only
Yeah.
activity, but having healthy lifestyles.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Those values are so important. The empathy, the sharing, the understanding, the teamwork, all of that. So, talk to us about sports attrition rates.
Yeah, so and that is an issue. We're looking at some numbers here. When the kids get into that 13, 14 range, almost 70% of kids are quitting sports. And
Mm,
those reasons are, they're just not having fun. And it's almost becoming a result mentality win. It's becoming too competitive. So I just think we as parents, we as coaches, whether that's a volunteer coach
yeah,
or a paid coach, we just need to make sure you know, I think it needs to have three pieces. You have to have fun first and foremost.
yeah,
It has to be enjoyable, and we need to make sure that it's a safe space. And I think when anyone is enjoying something, they are learning. And when you're learning, you're developing. So I think that's really crucial. It's got to be a fun, safe, and engaging environment. So I think if coaches can learn how to be better at that, we'll
hmm,
keep more kids in the game.
nice. So, for you, your passion has always been soccer or sports in general?
Well, certainly, soccer is my go-to. That's what I do full time. But I'm a firm believer in multi-sport participation. I really want kids getting outside and playing, and it's not even just sports too. It's even the arts. It's music. We just want kids being active. So especially under the age of 13, I really want kids. I don't know if I would want a child playing soccer year round. If they want to play in the fall and maybe move to another sport in the winter, or maybe taking a break altogether and maybe again putting themselves in the performing arts or music. Again, it's going back to creating an active lifestyle. But certainly I think soccer or sports can be the platform to keep kids active and have that positive change.
Yeah.
This is the greatest opportunity for success. And finding the next great player certainly is exciting. But really, the primary mission, at least for U.S. youth, is building community and creating those healthy lifestyles. And I think if we can do that, I think we can manage and create programs that are sustainable for long term growth, as well as fostering an environment of inclusion. That's so important. Too many times we have an environment of exclusion, and we want to keep as many kids in the game as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was just wondering if a child didn't play soccer their whole life or didn't play sports their whole life, how do they get involved? Are they too shy to first try out for something? How does that work?
Well, there's, in the beginning of our segment, we did talk about that interregional event, which is more geared towards that high performance player, the player who wants something a little more than maybe they're getting currently. So that Olympic development program that we host supplements what they're getting at the high school and club level. But I think there's another pathway. There's a player participation pathway. It's that recreation and grassroots where even if
Mm,
a child doesn't aspire to play in college or professionally, they just want to get out and exercise and have a good time with their friends. And again, whether that's soccer or another sport, we need to make sure as a society that we create those pathways for those players. And a lot of it, Tracy, is just word of mouth. You'll be amazed that kids will gravitate towards a certain sport based on what their friends are doing.
interesting. I just thought about it. It's like that guy who goes to the park just for a pickup game. But if a child has never played before, they may be a little bit shy about trying.
Yeah, and I think, besides friends, which can have a huge impact in your life, I think there is a social benefit as well, by the way, in terms of sports. There's that comfortability of being social and understanding those sorts of skills. But I
Mm,
think too, what is your local community doing to get out there and kind of promote what sports are out there, really for all ages. I think that's really important. Some parks and recreation do a phenomenal job of putting together these PR pieces where it shows that, hey, look, we can certainly get players out here or get children out here, uh, normally it's that 6, 8 to 10 age group where kids are always buzzing around playing, but there is an appetite for teenagers that are looking for just a place to play. So I would encourage all youth sports agencies or even non-traditionals like Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCA's, Parks
Mhm.
and Rec, that
Yes.
they continue down that road of creating programs even for that teenage player if they don't want to become kind of that competitive
Yeah.
player per se.
Yeah, I love what you said about the communities creating pathways,
Yeah.
and encouraging the communities to do
Mhm.
so and organizations to do so. So let me ask you a little bit about how US youth soccer actually evolved.
Wow. Well, I mean, we are close to being 50 years old.
Oh, wow.
So, if my history, I believe we started in 1974 with about 100,000 registered players. We are now the largest youth sports organization in America.
Amazing.
Yes, we have almost 3 million players, ages 4 to 18. It's almost a 50-50 split. I want to say in our last study there it was about 53-47, 53% male, 47% female.
Oh, that's high.
Uh,
Females as
yeah,
well. That's
we have
great.
about 750 adults, 750,000 adults, whether that's a coach, whether that's an administrator,
Nice.
volunteer, paid. And it's interesting when you talk about layers because at US Youth Soccer, we are the national association, but we have state associations that help us with the delivery of these programs. We have 54 state associations. So one may be asking, why more? Why 54? Some of our state associations are split because of the size. So California, New York, uh, who else? Texas, and Pennsylvania. So they're kind of split in two, which is why we have more than 50. But boys and girls, families can then register to play with one of the 54 state associations that they reside under, and then they can then participate in their respective league or club.
Oh, that's terrific. It's a great organizational structure. Is there a mission statement for the organization?
Absolutely. So let me take a step back and talk about our vision. Our vision at US Youth is to bring communities back through the power of soccer, creating lifelong fans of the game. Keyword is community. You just talked about that a couple of minutes ago, Tracy.
Yes.
When we speak about community, it's everyone. It's the player, it's the coach, it's the parent, it's the referee. We can't forget about the referees,
Right.
the towns, the municipalities. It's all coming together and back on the field. And then when we talk about lifelong fans, it's more than wins and losses. For me, it's once they age out, do they still have a real passion for the sport? So, do they move on to adult soccer? Maybe they become a coach or a referee to give back
Right.
to the game. Uh, do they nudge their children to play? Do they watch? Do they attend? Do they buy merchandise of that next level professional team that maybe they support? So for me, it's do they have a soccer lifestyle or at the very least a sporting lifestyle? Again, if it's not soccer, is it another sport that they embrace? And then that theme makes the mission easy because as everyone knows, a mission is kind of it's a proclamation of the organization's purpose. And our mission is to provide support, resources, and leadership, helping every member fulfill their goals both on and off the field. So we just want to be world class. And we're not there yet. We're always building to that. It's world class support, it's world class resources, customer service, one community, one family. And when we talk about the state associations, we just want to make sure that we at US Youth Soccer meet their needs and goals because they're boots on the ground helping the local members. So better services equal better connectivity. So it's getting 54 people closer to one unit.
Wow. It sounds like US Youth Soccer is a very heart-driven organization, all about community, all about bringing people together, all forming around the love of soccer
Yeah.
and wanting to see a higher purpose, a higher goal, wanting to help people reach their goals, very heart-driven.
It really is. And when we talk about the why, It's not only my why, but I think it's our senior staff. When we talked about what's our why a couple of years ago, uh, as you said, we care about America's youth, and we care about the game of soccer. So we just want to make sure that we're providing tools and resources and just super cool programming that will enhance the members' ability to serve players, because that's really what it comes down to, right, Tracy? In anything that we do, it's the student, it's the player, it's the child. Um, Everything that you do in your decision making, is it player centric? Is it in the best interest of the player? And that's something that we try to do on a daily basis at US Youth. And certainly it's never perfect. And there's a lot out there that you have to navigate through politics wise. But I always feel good about myself, because any decision that I make, I certainly make sure that the player is at the forefront of that.
Beautiful. I love that constant improvement, that constant strive to make it better. And it already sounds like a very tight, well-run organization, but there's this non-complacency about it that I'm hearing, this drive to constantly, how can we improve? How can we stay on top? How can we help? How can we support?
Yeah,
Wonderful.
and it's not easy, because it's much like government. I mean, we're dealing with, in this case, 54 state associations who are wonderful, but you also have 54 different opinions. So it's just making sure, and there's going to be some disagreements. And look, this disagreements can be healthy, in terms of trying to get to where you want to go. But it can be difficult at times, making sure to get everyone on the same page, because you're dealing with an entire nation, and lots
Wow.
of different personalities out there. But the one thing I will say is, whatever decision that we make, any disagreement that you have as an organization, I know in my heart that everyone involved really truly wants what's best for the sport, and then that means what's best for the player. We may not agree on how we get there, but I do feel very strongly about the folks who I work with on that aspect.
Amazing. That's amazing. Everybody has the one common focus, which is to be player centric.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, in line with building community, tell us about your community partners that you have out there.
Absolutely. So we're super excited about, that's 6 to 9 months ago, we launched something called the USYS University. And one of the core reasons behind the launch of that university was to fulfill part of our vision, bringing communities to the power of soccer. So if we could create a resource center that would serve the needs of the entire USYS family, we believe that we could bring a single community that feels connected to us, and each other for that matter.
Yeah.
So yes, we do have foundational partners, that span across several educational disciplines, and I think that really makes it kind of an holistic approach to the game. And we currently have 5 partners. These partners have an expertise in a particular field that we felt like that we don't have, or we don't have that PhD in mental health or exercise science, or parent engagement. So let's work with the folks who are experts, to try to make sure that we're getting the resources available to our membership. And so really, to summarize it, it's a virtual library, and I encourage everybody to go to our website and click on the university. Again, it's dynamic content. We want to enhance the relationship of all our constituents. There's 4 of them. We have parents, coaches, administrators, most importantly, we have players.
Most importantly was the players. Was that
Players,
what you said?
yes.
The players? So to go to the website, it's www.usyouthsoccer.org. And for anybody who's just joining us now, we are interviewing Tom Condone of US Youth Soccer. So tell us a little bit about tell us about Top Soccer. That's dealing with
Wow.
kids with disabilities.
Yeah, basically, we have a program called Top Soccer. It's the acronym is it essentially means the outreach program for soccer. It's community based. It's a training program, and it's for all athletes with intellectual, emotional, and/or physical disabilities.
Mm.
And really, the program just strives to provide soccer opportunities for that athlete. They can develop at their own pace. And again, it goes back to what we spoke about earlier, making sure it's a safe, fun, and supportive environment. And we do have an education component to that. We do have a coach and a buddy program. So anyone who wants to be certified as a TOPS coach, we have a very modest 1 hour session where we just go over the basics of learning how to coach children with disabilities, and that coach can become certified. And then we also have a buddy program where, and it's normally teenagers, have the ability to go through the course and work with not only the coach but work with those children. And the kids love it because it's great for their resume. A lot of them use it for community service with their high school, and a lot of them, again, there's another pathway that keeps them in the game.
Nice. Wonderful. So that sounds like an incredible initiative. Tell us some of the other USYS initiatives, especially pertaining to involving schools.
Absolutely. The other is we have an in-school program. We are in a pilot phase right now. We've partnered with the U.S. Soccer Foundation, and it's an in-school physical education-based Soccer for Success program, and it's an in-school offering. It is free to schools, and it's designed to serve students in K through 8. It's certainly going to, it meets and it is aligned with the Shape America's PE standards and National Health Education standards. And the beauty about this is we bring the curriculum to the teacher. We train the teacher, and then the teacher delivers the soccer segment to the PE class. Now, I will say this, there is a special focus on Title I schools, underrepresented communities. So right now we are in 6 school districts, and we'll continue to expand. We do have a 5-year goal of bringing this to over 100 school districts and 250,000 students. It's certainly lofty. And again, the pilot is going on right now, and certainly there are some great pieces and there's some lessons that are being learned. But we just want to make sure that we get kids the ability to sample soccer that otherwise would never have the opportunity to do so. If we can get that enjoyment factor in, now we can maybe create an after-school program in that area, or maybe if that player really has a passion, we can certainly steer him or her into that local club or association.
Yeah, what a way to give back, huh? Because you're
Now,
working the top echelon and families that can afford, and then on the other extreme, you're working with Title I schools and giving back and just bringing those resources. Wonderful.
yeah, and I think that the PE teachers really enjoy it because what we see is soccer sometimes maybe isn't taught as extensively as some of our other bigger sports here in the United States, whether that's flag football or basketball or baseball. So we thought it would be an incredible way to promote the game of soccer. Again, if we were able to customize the curriculum to where these teachers can go ahead and look at the lesson plans, teach the game to the kids. And again, we have a 3 to 4 hour course that we go into the schools, depending on COVID. It can be in person or virtual. And now the PE teachers now have the ability to kind of share that standard that we're setting to the kids, and hopefully the kids look at it and say, this is a great way to learn the game.
Excellent. 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 Well, I applaud you all for that. So tell us about some of your other initiatives, right? You have programs for the everyday child who wants to play soccer, and then you have these special Olympic preparation programs. Give us a rundown of what USYS offers.
Sure. We need to be better at building the base of the pyramid, and I think we just want to get kids excited about the game of soccer. So we do have an initiative called League America, and really at this point it's a brand, and the brand is to kind of capture the spirit of our recreational and grassroots members. But we just want to ensure through our League America program that we're one large soccer ecosystem, and where everybody's important, and that we're in this all together as one. As I said earlier, it could be the missing link into sampling soccer, drawing sports to the sport that otherwise would not come to our game. Uh,
Mm,
we are exploring a benefit package to League America, uh, coach support, apparel assistance that goes just beyond that brand or that logo. And then there's a wellness narrative, and that's something that we've been preaching throughout this entire segment. It's just driving grassroots participation of soccer without the encumbrance of the pay to play to model. We all understand that sports and soccer in particular can be very expensive at the competitive level. So we're just trying to find creative ways to make it financially affordable for the families.
nice, nice, nice. Okay. And pretty much last question.
Yeah.
How do you prepare kids for the Olympics?
Well, we do have something called the Olympic Development Program, and that's how we met, Tracy. And when you look at our Olympic Development Program, it's our purpose is we want to identify and provide opportunities for high potential players, facilitate their development, and really expose them to the next level in their pathway. And we want this to be the highest level of representative for eligible players. Uh, we want the best players going up against the other top players. And I think these sorts of opportunities through ODP allows the best players to go forward for the idea of identification purposes. As we talked about earlier, they start at the state level, they move on to regional events where we first met, accumulating into that national event that's later this month. But I think the ODP program is interesting because it allows kids to experiment with different styles, because it's not their full-time program. Most of these kids are playing in a high school or club environment. So they're seeing different players, different coaches, and
Mhm.
it allows them almost, sometimes we hear the old adage, being uncomfortable to get comfortable. And, are they comfortable outside of their club or high school environment? Can they adjust to a different system? How do they react when they're asked to play a different position? They may be a forward in their club environment, but maybe ODP views them as a defender. So it just there's a lot of pieces that go into it that really kind of help that player from a holistic standpoint,
Right.
getting to the level that they want to get to. And again, we have that service as well when we talk about that high performance or high potential player.
Yeah. So overall, is there any last thought that you want to leave our listeners with pertaining to USYS or, kids and sports in general?
I think it goes back to right from the beginning when we talked about the environment. Uh, we just want kids active and involved.
Yeah.
And if it's fun, if it's safe, it's engaging, um, then I think that'll help develop players to their full capacity.
Yeah.
And really, too, it's developing the individual first and foremost. I mean, it's individual player development in a team concept. Um,
Mm.
that's what I hope that every coach strives
Mhm.
for, within their training sessions. And then, I think if we can provide that freedom of expression, the freedom to experiment,
Yeah.
uh, I think we want kids to take risks on the field without the fear of having to make a mistake. So I think that's very important too. I think that next generation of coach needs to be transformational, and allow the children to experiment, to see what works and what doesn't, as opposed to maybe commanding them, telling them what to do or what not to do.
Um,
And then lastly, I'll just say trust. I just recently read a book called The $1 Trillion Coach, uh,
mm.
and it was based on the principles and values of Bill Campbell, who was a former football player and college coach at Columbia University, and he spent over 15 years shaping Silicon Valley. So he was actually the executive coach, even though he was former athlete. He dealt with Steve Jobs, Marissa Myers, Sheryl Sandberg, Google, Apple,
Mm.
what have you. And he had said the most important currency is trust. And it all begins with trust. It's the foundation in which relationships are created and sustained for teams to thrive at all levels. So we just want to make sure that at US Youth, there's a trust there, not
Yeah.
only at the top, but all the way down.
I can't help but think about how in professional development. We work with business people and corporations, and everything that you're talking about sounds like the pathway to prepare kids for success in their jobs later on as well, because it's all about teamwork and it's all about accountability. And when it comes to coaching and professional development, there's just such a great parallel that I'm hearing as you're speaking.
And I think it goes back to when we talked about, studies are showing that kids that are playing sports do better in school. And I think if we can continue to kind of create that player pathway that creates opportunities for players to progress, and that progression may be all the way to the top level, but it may be just kind of veering and just taking that, hey, I just want to have a good time. That's okay as well. We just need to provide instruction and support to give our players the best opportunity to reach their potential, regardless of age or level. And I would hope, although I'm not a teacher by trade in the classroom, I would hope that from an educational standpoint, our teachers are using these methods as well.
Awesome. I can't thank you enough for joining us today on our show. So if anybody wants to find Tom Condone, you can go to, again, www.usyouthsoccer.org. I'm sure you have plenty of resources there to share with our listeners.
No, absolutely. Tracy, thank you so much for allowing me to engage with your base. And yes, absolutely. Please visit our website and do not hesitate to email me if you have any questions about the game of soccer.
Awesome. Sounds great. Your organization is doing great work. And thank you so much for joining us today and taking time out of your busy day. We appreciate it.
Excellent. Thanks, Tracy. Happy New Year, everybody. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you. Happy New Year. So to hear more resources, if you know of anybody making a change or a difference or an impact in your community, or to hear more resources like this, you can visit us at americanspcc.org. That's americanspcc.org. And remember, a brighter future starts here.